Good morning. This is Dylan Jovine from Behind the Markets. Happy Friday. Today is November 8th, and I just got my sign from Amazon. I ordered that Notre Dame sign that is in their locker room. They all touch it before they go play a game. I thought this is such a cool sign to actually have in the office, reminding everybody to play like a champion today. What a great message for people. Anyway, so today I wanted to talk about housing. As we've talked about a lot here, we are in the housing bubble. We're in a housing bubble that is now 23% bigger than the one that caused the Great Recession that everybody lost so much in. And the question is now, how does President-elect Trump deal with a housing bubble like this? During the campaign, both candidates talked about it. They didn't say the word housing bubble because they didn't want to cause a financial panic. But they said housing issues. They started to frame it as a supply issue because even the Fed raising rates was not able to bring down housing prices. So how can you bring down housing prices? There seems to be no way that they've been able to bring down housing prices, even with mortgage rates higher. And we know recently that the Fed's been lowering rates, but the 10-year bond has been going higher. Remember something, the Fed lowered rates 50 basis points. The 10-year bond has gone up 80 basis points, almost a full percentage point since the Fed started lowering. So it seems like the bond market and the mortgage market isn't listening to the Fed. So housing prices don't seem like they want to go down. So on the campaign trail, candidate Harris was talking about how she would handle the housing crisis, and her solution was to actually give first-time home buyers $25,000 credit, which was not a good policy because what that would have done is it would have just forced sellers to increase the price of the houses they were selling by $25,000, get some of that government money. So that was not a wise policy choice. And Trump's solution is something that we agree with. His solution to this is to lower regulations and incentivize housing manufacturers to go out there and build a bunch of houses. In other words, if you can't attack the problem on the price side, add to the supply. So his solution, and he has said this publicly, this is one of the big planks of his economic policy, is to actually go after housing from a supply point of view. And if you look at Zillow estimates that there's as many as 4.5 million houses too few to serve the needs. So Trump has talked about publicly, and this is going to be one of the hallmarks of his plan, his economic agenda, is to unleash housing construction. And one of the things that we've done is we put together a report explaining how we got to this housing bubble, the biggest bubble since the Great Recession, and more importantly for you folks watching it, which housing manufacturers, which companies are going to do the best under a new Trump administration, under his deregulation of home construction policies. So we have 3 very exciting companies. Now, most folks say, oh, it'll probably be like KB Homes and all these other big builders. They're going to benefit too. But we actually find the biggest opportunity among companies that make smaller homes. And that is because basically inflation has made the cost of building these big McMansions just too high. So what we've perceived and what our analysis tells us is that instead of the home builders building starter homes at 2,500, 3,000 square feet, the home builders that focus on 1,500, 2,000 square feet houses are going to do very well building new starter homes that are affordable given the rise that we've seen in construction costs and all these other things. We've picked a few companies in this new report that I urge you to look at because they started to see some great action yesterday with the market up, and I don't see how these things don't just explode over time. This is one of those situations where you have an administration telling us that you already know they're going to be pro-business. They're going to deregulate the heck out of things like housing construction, and housing prices and costs to make bigger houses are just too expensive for most folks to afford. 1 + 1 = 2. Small companies that focus on smaller construction houses just are poised to do very well. And our job was to look at all the companies that do that and to actually eliminate 90% of them because they're not really well run or they're inconsistently run, and focus on the best most well-run companies with the strongest balance sheets that do that. And that is what we bring to you in this new report. Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about on this lovely Friday. I hope you have a terrific weekend.